I recently reviewed the first 6 quests of Act 1 of Nehrim at Fate's Edge, a total conversion mod for the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. In part 1, we showcase the following quests, and in this part, we focus on the remaining quests. As mentioned in the first video, this video will contain spoilers. If you're still here and don't care about spoilers, let's get started then.
In the name of magic, I greet you. So you are the newcomer who survived the mine, aren't you? Narathzul told me everything. So then, welcome to the Sanctum. My name is Vanmiria, and I will introduce you to the Order. I can imagine that your road to here was very difficult, but I assure you that it was worth it. As one of the few gifted, you are something very special, and we will treat you here accordingly. This is not a barracks. You will have a room here, and you are free to go anytime. We have several dealers and trainers that sell weapons and magic. If you have questions, you can always come to me or one of the other magicians here. First, you probably want to know what is going to happen to you. Every novice must fulfill an old tradition with us. Do not fear, it is not a test or anything like that. You must merely visit the shrine of Narathzul Arantheal and read the inscription on the base. This man was the creator of the paradigm for which we fight. You may ask yourself what this paradigm is. Narathzul will give you more of an understanding about it later. First, it must suffice that you know how important Narathzul Arantheal was to the Order and still is. Leave the Sanctum to the south and follow the path. You need to do a bit of hiking through the wilderness until you come to the shrine on your left. It's really not hard to find. If you encounter any wildlife and have to defend yourself, I'll give you a potion. Return safely.
We have a new quest at the Sanctum. This is a short quest. We need to visit a shrine nearby. Let's do it. We need to find the road south of here. And here is the shrine. Who is this Narathzul Arantheal?
The shrine is a tribute to a powerful master of magic, who is now imprisoned at an unknown place. The inscription emphasizes that Narathzul should always be remembered for the determination with which he fought his war against his enemies to finally achieve the freedom of Nehrim, the only world of Vin not ruled by a god. Narathzul is the one who killed the previous ruler of Nehrim, God Aradin.
Welcome, Shadowborn. Welcome to the place where fate is created.
Oh wow, we are teleported to another world. Where are we? Here we find an Eterna on the throne.
Well, feeling a little insecure, frightened, lost amid the ruins of the worlds? Yes, that is what this place is. The ruins of the worlds. What you see here is just that. Old, crumbling worlds. They float in the chaos of magic winds through the vastness of the universe. And before you ask me who I am, I tell you that you need not worry about that. It is unimportant to you. It is sufficient to know that I am powerful enough to have brought you to this place with the intention of telling you something. This Narathzul, he will initiate you as soon as you have returned into the principles of the Order. While you listen to him and he gives you a demonstration, what stupidity you may have previously held, you will remember my words. Listen. Worlds are perishable. There is a natural imbalance. It's a fact that if everything does not have an opposite, then its structure is fragile. And once it is broken, it ends up here. Your world will not be any different, even if the limited brain of a mortal is not able to fully comprehend something like that. But the question is what brings about this demise? Most things exist in contrast to something else. Light and darkness, life and death, reality and surrealism. Some things, however, strive to exist without contrasts. They have no counterbalances. The gods are like this. Narathzul will tell you more about these gods. Know this. These gods live without any contrasting elements. The imbalance they create will destroy our world. Oh, I forgot one more thing. Just as you should not ask who I am, you should not ask why I have told you this. The imagination of you mortals is far too linear and simple to understand it. Feel yourself honored that you were able to see the ruins of the worlds in your lifetime. We are finished. Just keep my words in mind and you will take your place in destiny.
Wow, and just like that, we are back in Nehrim. What was that world and who was that Eterna lady? If you read the book, The First War of the Creator and Destiny, we learn about one Sarantha, who is an ancient being, and I assume we met her.
From their homeworld of Urdur, the Eterna, led by King Esatron and his mistress Sarantha, traveled to countless worlds and fought the enemies there. This threatened the natural order of the universe. They used magical portals to travel between the different worlds. Thus, they created a mighty empire over the course of millennia. When the Eterna's armed forces reached the world of Vin, where the continent of Nehrim lies today, they discovered a great evil in the threads of destiny of the world that even the Eterna themselves could not eliminate. King Esatron decided the universe must be destroyed and remade without fundamental defects. Only then could true order be achieved. His mistress Sarantha did not recognize him anymore for his change in behavior. In her mind, the universe could only be preserved by maintaining the natural order by the rule of the Lightborn. Sarantha ultimately turned against her love and fled with a legion of Eterna from the world of Urdur, even though they knew that they could never stop her lover alone. She found help from another nation that was also scattered over the entire universe. The Star People, called dwarves by the humans, assembled their entire fleet with Sarantha's help to attack Asatron's troops. The star ships fell to the magic of the Eterna like stones from the sky, and the Star People were henceforth trapped on Vin. In their despair at the loss of the universe, they flung the star Warren, which was once their homeworld, onto Vin. Both armies were burned by the fire, and the world of Vin was shaken to the core. Continents were shattered, and new ones were created. Thus arose the rugged mountains of Nehrim and the crater in which the Middle Realm is to be found. Since that day, the surviving Star People have been trapped without a starship in the world of Vin. Esatron lost his physical form, and Sarantha imprisoned her weakened lover in a place outside time and space, in a magical prison.
Wow, so the Sarantha person is an ancient being of incredible power and our character had a vision of this godlike entity. Wow, just wow, the lore is incredible, featuring galactic starship battles that took place in the ancient past. And these star people are in Vin somewhere? I wonder if we will meet them. Let's head back to Archmage Vanmira.
Here you are again. Did you find the shrine? What are you saying? A kind of vision? You were in another world where you were approached by an unknown woman? This is, I do not know. Something like this has never occurred before. I'll have to tell Mirzul, for I have no idea what it could mean. Well, never mind. At least you have fulfilled your task. Wait here until midnight. Then Mirzul will come to the observatory. He will initiate you into the order and read your fate from the stars. Once you are initiated, I can entrust you with some tasks. Just come to me when Mirzul is finished with you.
And that completes the quest. The pilgrimage was a surreal experience as we learn about the legend of Narathzul Arantheal and then immediately took part in a vision where we meet an ancient being. The quest got me to read up on the lore of Nehrim and also made me think about the transient nature of universes. They are here one moment and gone in another. As Stephen Hawking said, time is a dimension like the dimensions of space. The pilgrimage is a quest filled with wonder. We arrived at the sanctum in the previous episode. We now have to talk to Mirzul.
Van Miria told me of your strange experience at the shrine. Well, although I can't explain to you why this has happened, I can't imagine that it means something dangerous. You should not make too much of it. Well, before we begin, I need to know under what sign you were born.
This is where we select the birth sign. We select the mage sign as our character is an acrobatic mage archer.
This is very interesting. Well, the stars are good tonight. Let us take a look. I've been watching the sky for centuries. It has changed in recent years. Much has changed lately. We certainly live in a very uncertain age. Things take their course. The world's threads lose strength. Much of the south of the country has changed in a disturbing way. Nature, the landscape, living things there change and take on magical contours. This is due to the fact that the structure of the world is losing its strength, and arcane energies are penetrating it. Even the sky takes on strange forms that represent a major upheaval. Specifically speaking, there are forms that were not present for over 1,000 years ago. At the time when the liberation of the people against the divine, against the false gods began, I founded the Order. Before I proceed to explain to you what the Order fights for, I would like to ask you something. Do you believe in fate? Ah, then you have probably already heard of the predestination of the Tel-Maltath, the shadow god. The Tel-Maltath is the shadow-born counterpart of the power that people commonly refer to as the Creator. The common man in the street believes in the Creator as well as 6 other gods. Actually, it is not false because, let me tell you, these powers do exist. The gods are not only in the imagination of the people and the words of the priest, but also in reality. But at the same time, they are worshipped, and that's where the problem begins. The gods in the actual sense of the word are not divine, nor has the Creator ever created anything. Our world was already here before the gods, and yet they dominate both the land and the people on it. What I'm telling you now is the fundamental truth which the Order is based on. The gods are nothing more than mighty mages, also called Lightborn. They are not immortal and cannot perform miracles. They are like you and I, just blessed with the gift to a greater extent than any other. But that alone does not give them the right to rule over the people, don't you think? It is an unfair aristocracy, the preference of a small group of the better off who really have no right to rule over the people. The Order is fighting to ensure that this injustice ends, and that the reign of the world is placed in the hands of those who inhabit it, the people. That is exactly what we want, and we must find Narathzul Arantheal, the man on the shrine again, since he has the power to become the Shadow God, the counterpart of the Supreme Lightborn, and can defeat the gods. Know this, only the Telmaltath, the Shadow God, has the power to lead the Order to victory. His coming is written in the so-called Predetermination. It is only a matter of time until he arises. It will be Narathzul Arantheal. If you want to know even more, just ask me. The sanctums are very important for the stability of our magical world. They hold a device that can combine the magic thread around us and thus prevent these threads from drifting apart or interfering with each other. When I founded the Order, I built this sanctum, and also another in the west of the valley. Without them, the magic contamination in the South Realm would certainly have had devastating consequences for a large part of Nehrim. For 1,000 years already, the Order has been fighting for the freedom of the people and their right to have a self-chosen democracy. Back then, a man named Narathzul Arantheal took the first step. He belongs to the people of the Eterna and revolted against the gods, the Lightborn. I fought by his side, as well as Baratheon, who is now Chancellor of Nehrim and our biggest opponent. At that time, Narathzul Arantheal succeeded in conquering the false god Erodan, who once ruled over Nehrim, thereby liberating this land from the slavery of the Lightborn. The faithful still think Erodan left because of the sins of the people in order to punish us. But Erodan did not leave. He is dead. Arantheal put an end to his autocracy. So today, Nehrim is the only country not directly controlled by the gods. However, Arantheal's forces fell in the battle against the army from the land of the divine. He was taken prisoner by them and is now missing. The rebellion came to a halt. Baratheon took this opportunity to fill the vacuum after Erodan's death and to crown himself as ruler of Nehrim, and thus he continues the tyranny of the gods just under another name, and not in the way we intend. I, on the other hand, founded the Order as not to let the ideal of Narathzul Arantheal be forgotten. The Order was founded by me, after the first time I tried to overthrow the Lightborn together with Narathzul, Arantheal, and Baratheon. Our attempt failed, which ended with Arantheal's capture and Baratheon turning his back on us. The Order is sticking to Arantheal's goal, namely to end the illegitimate rule of the Lightborn. It's all about them, both in the lives of the people and with us in the Order. For the common people, the Lightborn are simply the 7 gods, but they only have special powers. They are neither immortal, nor can they control the magic structure. They are lucky to have been born just with the side of light, while all other living beings in the world carry qualities of light and shadow in themselves. The fact that the Lightborn lack the shadow gives them powers that one cannot find so pronounced, even in magically gifted people or the Eterna. The problem is, they think that because of their skills, they have a right to rule over mankind. But of course, that is nonsense. Just because someone is privileged by birth, doesn't mean he may have a higher value than any other. This contradicts the peaceful coexistence of people. They may not rule over us, and yet they do so. You don't feel it as much in Nehrim, because the god Eridan, who once ruled over our country, was killed by Narathzul Arantheal. But in the other countries of our world, the people are oppressed and enslaved by the Lightborn. They are denied the natural law to determine one's own actions. That is the reason why the Order and Narathzul Arantheal want to abolish this aristocracy of the privileged. If you come across any mages here in the Middle Realm that attack you, then they are members of an association that used to be called Etranar and was based in Erothin. The Chancellor Baratheon drove them from there in his efforts to ban magic, and since then they have been enemies of anyone who does not belong to them. He is the real leader of the Order, even though he is in prison. We do not know where he is. Otherwise, we would have tried to free him long ago. 1,000 years ago, he killed the Lightborn Erodan, who ruled over Nehrim, but then he was captured by the rest of the gods and was locked in a dungeon. I feel that our time to free him is rapidly approaching its end. We have to find out his whereabouts, so he can resume the fight of the Order. One part of the South Realm has recently discharged a magical instability, and thus contaminated an entire area. It is a clear sign that the magical structure of our land is slowly but surely shifting out of place. Unfortunately, we do not know any further details. The whole South Realm is sealed off by the temple, and that will not change anytime soon. I advise you to just stay out of the area, not only because of the soldiers of the temple, but because of what may have caused the contamination. We have been forbidden to use it. First by the Divine, who see it as their sole privilege to use magic, and now by the Chancellor Baratheon, who sees it as a threat to his rule. You are one of the gifted, but do not brag about it. Most people are very suspicious of magic users. You may even find some are hostile towards you. The Eterna are a magically gifted people who live here in Nehrim. They are, however, clearly in the minority. Usually they are oppressed and despised. For unlike the humans, all Eterna can weave magic. And that, of course, feeds the fires of the malicious envy festering in all human hearts. The Eterna are hanged for crimes they have not committed, and are denied work that any person can perform. They are even forbidden to shop at the public markets. But never offend them, for they are a proud people. Once Narathzul Arantheal, our leader, and an Eterna at that returns, the Eterna will rise up and fight for their cause, and their own freedom. Then the people will fear them. You can tell an Eterna by their long ears and bright eyes. You will rarely see one in any case because they live in seclusion and hardly ever emerge. Together with me, Narathzul Arantheal wanted the rule of the Lightborn to end. But we were naive and did not get very far. Our leader Arantheal was put in chains by the Lightborn, and from then on, Baratheon pursued after his own goals. Soon he became the Chancellor of Nehrim, and began to incorporate the North Realm. He also tried to undermine his former companions, the Order and I, paralyzing us with all sorts of confusing laws and decisions. He wants nothing to do with our goals anymore. There are several reasons why. The most important being that we use magic here in the Sanctum. Magic is this power that most do not have. It is mysterious and secretive. It generates fear, and fear produces hatred. Although Baratheon wields magic, he will not tolerate the use of it by someone outside his ranks. He is a supremely talented mage. Therefore, we can't simply strip him of power and expect that lead to our freedom. If the Order is to continue to exist, we must find another way, and soon. This is the name of the great northern city. It is the seat of Taranor, the very man who has shunned Chancellor Baratheon's rule and declared independence for himself and his empire. Since then, the city has been under siege, and the whole kingdom is devastated. Unfortunately, we of the Order cannot intervene because this is beyond our power, and would draw the attention of the Chancellor needlessly upon us. Chancellor Baratheon resides in Erothin. It is the largest and most splendid city in Nehrim. You can get to it from the Sanctum by taking the North Path. Its landmark is the Great Bell Tower, which Baratheon now soils with his presence. Now you know everything. I'm going back to my study. In the meantime, you can begin your training. General Acorius, the Sword of the Order, will entrust you with some tasks. You can help to find the gifted, which did not come to the Shadow Song mine. The meeting there was a disaster, but we cannot afford to have gained only one student. Furthermore, we need to remove all the traces we have left.
That was a fascinating discussion. This also completes the quest. So we learned that the stars have significantly changed recently. Muzzle says that the age that we live in seems very uncertain. He also talks about how the southern part of Nehrim has changed in a quite disturbing way. According to Muzzle, the structure of the world is losing strength and arcane energies are penetrating it. Muzzle believes that the gods or the Lightborn are not immortal but are mages with extraordinary powers, and they have no right to rule over people, and he founded the Order to end this injustice. This order reminds me of the dissident priests in Morrowind, who were a secretive cult consisting of tribunal temple members who disputed the temple's dogmatic foundations and questioned the process of the tribunal's elevation to godhood. Back to Nehrim, we also learn about Tel Maltath, the shadow god who has the power to lead the order to victory. Muzzle says this shadow god's coming is written in the Predetermination, and there is only one person who can fulfill this, and that is Narathzul Arantheal. If you read the book The Tyranny of the Lightborn, we learn about this predetermination.
For millennia, the Lightborn ruled over humankind. So far, only in Nehrim has a liberation effort against the Lightborn been successful, initiated by Narathzul Arantheal. He killed the god Aradin, who ruled Nehrim from Arantheal. In all other countries, governments and empires are subject to the gods and are governed as protectorates. Religion, that is, belief in our gods, is considered true by the common man, false by the wise, and useful by the ruler. Philosophers critical of religion view the gods as a predetermined constant that must appear in the world at some point to spread magic among humankind. Some prophecies, such as that of Tel Maltath, foretell a magical messenger who will come to destroy the gods. Arantheal has attempted to become that messenger. This means that, according to prophecy, magic is the key to both the reign of the gods and their downfall.
This predestination sounds like the Nerevarine prophecy of Morrowind, which prophesies that Indoril Nerevar, the Hortator of the Kaimer people during the First Era, would return as the Nerevarine for the salvation of the descendants of the Kaimer, the Dunmer. Maybe the developers of Nehrim were inspired by Morrowind's story? It is interesting, isn't it? A glance to the stars gave us an excellent opportunity to delve into the game world, its characters, and the objectives of groups such as the Order. I particularly enjoyed the extensive dialogue and the rich lore available for analysis. Alright guys, we have come to the end of this video. In this part, we have showcased the following main story quests from Act 1. We also documented the lore from the world of Wynn and have a deeper understanding of the game world, the characters and their motivations. What did you think about these quests of Nehrim? Do share your thoughts in the comments below and don't miss the final part. If you're still here, I appreciate you and thank you all for watching, and may the Lightborn guard and keep you.